The Liverpool Academy just keeps producing brilliant talents. Conor Bradley, João Consar and Stefan Bajcetic have all secured their spots in the senior squad after impressing under Jurgen Klopp. But the list doesn't end there. Players like Jadon Danns, Ben Doak, Kumas and many others are steadily developing, aiming to break into the first team in the future, with the current pre-season tour offering them the perfect chance to shine. This brings us to 17-year-old Trey Nyoni, who many believe was a standout player in Liverpool's first friendly game against Real Betis. So guess what? We rewatched the youngster's cameo and analysed every single action he was involved in to understand what kind of player he truly is. But before we do get into it, hit that like and subscribe button and let's dive into our analysis. Recently we posted a video discussing how Liverpool's Academy is attracting top talents from other English clubs. The secret behind this strategy success is that the Reds can genuinely offer a clear pathway to a senior level football for these young stars. Trey Nyoni is a perfect example. At just 16, Nyoni made a mark for Leicester City's under-18 Premier League side, scoring 2 goals and providing 1 assist in 13 appearances. He also scored and assisted on his debut for England's under-16 side, catching Liverpool's attention, leading them to sign him in the summer of 2023. Last season, Nyoni played for Liverpool's youth side in the Premier League too, starting 11 out of 13 games and even scoring 2 goals. But his underlying stats are even more impressive. Nyoni had a dribble success rate of 81.82%, the highest among midfielders, and a pass completion rate of 88.54%, ranking him 3rd. These numbers highlight his technical prowess. However, these performances were at youth level, and it's always uncertain how a player will adapt when making the jump to the senior squad, especially at such a young age like Nyoni. Still, it's safe to say the youngster made a significant impression during his debut for the club in a recent friendly against Real Betis. In fact, his performance had the fan base buzzing for days. So as we mentioned earlier, we rewatched the game and analysed every action Nyoni was involved in, both with and without the ball. We won't go through every single moment, but instead provide you with a summary of his key attributes. Let's get straight into it. First, we need to admit something. We always thought Nyoni was a winger, likely because he played in that position during his Leicester City days and had an impressive dribbling success rate. However, it turns out he's actually a midfielder, capable of playing both deep and high across the midfield. This became clear from the moment he was subbed in after Curtis Jones felt some discomfort and had to leave the pitch half an hour into the game. Nyoni slotted into the double pivot alongside Wataru Endo and immediately showcased a crucial skill for Slot's build-up phase. Let us explain. In order to progress the ball through the phases, Slot's system relies on the double pivot constantly moving in front of the back 3 or 4 to create passing options. This requires players to have spatial awareness, the ability to read the pitch, and the confidence to offer themselves as passing options in deep areas where simple mistakes can be costly. Trey's first noticeable action was how quickly he moved into free space to provide Kelleher a passing option to initiate the build-up phase. Of course, the ball ended up being blocked by one of the Betis players. However, Nyoni's willingness to receive the ball despite knowing he would be under immense pressure is something even experienced players struggle with, let alone a 17-year-old. This wasn't a one-off situation. Trey continued to stay on the move during the build-up phase, constantly making himself available for a pass. Not only that, in this single sequence you're seeing on the screen, Nyoni scanned his surroundings 4 times in 3 seconds, maintaining awareness of the opposition's location on the pitch. Once he received the ball from Tsimikas, he was already aware of the Betis player closing in to press him, which is why he immediately passed the ball back to evade the pressure. In another sequence of play, thanks to his frequent scanning, Trey was able to receive the ball facing his own goal and then turn to face the play, fully aware that his opponents were not close enough to press him. He then proceeded to carry the ball forward, gaining more field before laying a simple pass to his teammate. This sequence mirrored Nyoni's crucial role in creating the Reds' only goal of the game. He received the ball in the deep area, carried it forward, and then broke Real Betis' line with a progressive pass to Dominik Szoboszlai, who combined with Salah to unlock the score. Nyoni played for a total of 41 minutes, and despite 12 other Liverpool players having more game time than him, he had the 5th most touches in the Liverpool squad with 52. This was just behind the back 4 players who were constantly involved in the build-up phases. At times, he even dropped between the centre-backs to help circulate the ball and recycle possession. This once again highlights the player's eagerness to be involved and his confidence in taking the ball in deep areas and tight situations. We just mentioned how Nyoni made a line-breaking pass that led to Liverpool's opening. opener, and that's what fans got most excited about, is his progressiveness and ability to find players with his forward-thinking passing. In fact, Nyoni played 8 passes into the final third, the most of any other Liverpool player. As we explained, Nyoni consistently moved into free space to be an outlet for his defenders to progress the ball, and in this specific instance, he played a first touch pass towards Szoboszlai, quickly progressing the ball from the second to the third phase. Here there's another action where the player received the ball at the halfway line. He then cleverly lost his chaser by swiftly changing direction before shattering the opposition's lines with another pass. See, this swift movement with the ball and the ability to quickly change direction is what allows Nyoni to manipulate space and create 3 areas for himself, whether he's looking to receive the ball or handling it himself. While constantly scanning the pitch, Nyoni feints his moves, giving the opposition the illusion that he will be in one place only to end up in another. Another thing to note about Nyoni's passing is his ability to make diagonal switches. He made just 2 during that game, one towards Carvalho on the left-hand side and another towards Salah on the right. So far, we can say that Nyoni has had a brilliant understanding of space, great dribbling ability, and impressive progressive passing. Unfortunately, he didn't take any shots during that game, so we can't really comment on his shooting technique. Now that we've covered his ability in possession and with the ball, let's take a look at his performances out of possession. First, it is safe to say that the player is positionally disciplined. He doesn't rush into challenges and is often seen sticking to his man. This was evident throughout the game as Nyoni often maintained the team's compactness in the middle of the park. Even when he is forced to make a move, he doesn't rush the tackle. Instead, he jockeys his step, trying to anticipate his opponent's movement. This sequence right here shows how brilliant the player is at closing angles and jumping in at the right moment. Initially, he just closed the distance with his man, standing his ground and not allowing the player to progress the play, ultimately forcing him to pass the ball back. In the same sequence, Nyoni anticipated the pass back into his player and used his long limbs to cut it by jumping in front of his man. He then used his long legs and reach once again to pass the ball to Salah in a situation where every player thought the ball was out. His ability to anticipate the ball was on full display when he turned defense into an attack for that chance he created for Carvalho in the second half. As Betis were about to launch the counter-attack, Nyoni sensed the danger and stepped in to cut his man's passing lane. He successfully did so as he won the ball back and passed it immediately to Szoboszlai before receiving once again to provide Carvalho with a chance. So far, the player has demonstrated a balanced approach to defending and an excellent sense of anticipation, but there's still more. Remember the spatial awareness and constant scanning we talked about earlier? These traits are also a part of Nyoni's defensive arsenal. For instance, we can recall at least 2 situations where Nyoni helped the team sustain pressure by winning the ball back quickly in the final third. This once again is thanks to his positional sense and constant scanning of his surroundings. This ability helps the team maintain pressure, limiting the opposition chances to counter-attack or regroup. Now that we discussed Nyoni's abilities both in and out of possession, there's still one more thing to note about his performance. Earlier we mentioned that we always thought he was a winger, and in this game against Betis we understood why. In the final 10 minutes with Bajcetic and Morton forming the double pivot, Nyoni advanced to play as a free-roaming number 10. He occupied central spaces high up the pitch, but also dropped deep on the right-hand side to receive the ball, and it didn't stop there. We even saw Nyoni from the initial line of press alongside Blair and initiate the pressing sequence himself. It's safe to say that the player is as versatile as they come. Not only did he perform well in the double pivot, but he also showed he can impress as a box-to-box midfielder or even as a number 10. Now don't get us wrong, we're not suggesting Nyoni is fully deserving of a starting spot for Liverpool this season. After all, this was only the first friendly game and he faces tougher competition for a midfield spot. It's also worth noting that he's still 17 years old and Nyoni still needs to develop physically. He was dispossessed easily once or twice during that game and obviously ran out of steam despite playing just 41 minutes. But can you really ask more of a teenager? It's clear as daylight that Liverpool have a massive gem on their hands in Trey Nyoni. The young kid oozes confidence, has what it takes with the ball at his feet, and is mature enough out of possession. His spatial awareness and constant scanning are rare traits that veteran players often acquire only with time. Still, this does not mean that we will see the youngster feature regularly for the first team just yet, as he still needs to develop physically. But you never know. Lamine Yamal is one of Barcelona's best players, so maybe there's a chance for Nyoni to become a regular player too. So what do you think of Liverpool's Liverpool's newest young talent? Do you believe Nyoni deserves to be included in the senior squad, or is it too early to judge the player? Let us know your thoughts down there in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed today's video, do consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel for more Liverpool deep dives. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.